During Advent, the phrase peace on earth is seen and sung all over the place. In Christmas cards, in carols, in churches, even in the tale of the football match in the trenches during the First World War. In today's passage, St. Paul urges the Church of Thessalonia to be at peace among yourselves. It's a familiar message, and one that many would associate with Christianity and Christmas. But as with many messages that are emblazoned on a greetings card, it is in danger of becoming rather trite and anodyne. But, presumably, one reason that it's a phrase repeated so often is because we haven't quite managed to make it stick yet. And this is because it's difficult, hence Paul's request. Be patient with all of them. He knows the faults of the Thessalonians, and they're not so different to those of our own society. This year's fallouts and frayed tempers might well be around how to interpret COVID restrictions and guidance. They might be around Brexit, neither of which caused the Thessalonians much grief. But the fact remains that whatever the subject, people's views will differ. And as Christians, we are called to air and settle our differences peacefully and with respect. Some criticise the Church of England for spending a long time discussing difficult questions and coming to compromise solutions. But if this gives space for peace to be maintained, perhaps there's something to be said for it. It certainly contrasts with the polarised debates informed by fixed opinions on both sides, without capacity for self-reflection or for hearing what God might be saying on the subject that populate our public debate so often at the moment. It's much easier to hear God when you're not shouting. Paul goes on to say, always do good to one another and to all. Now that doesn't leave much room for settling scores or for fighting feuds. If Advent is the season of preparation for the coming of Christ, surely we should try to prepare for this by settling our differences and reconciling ourselves to each other. Well, obviously, yes, we should. We say the peace every week in church to this end. Do we really act it out? Well, sometimes, perhaps, for a while. Paul emphasises this point, perhaps because it's so easy to pay lip service to it. And unless we are at peace with ourselves and each other, we can't be at peace with God. The phrase, blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called children of God, shows just how important Jesus considered this to be. When one thinks of peacemakers, one imagines professionals, perhaps the brave forces of the United Nations, stepping in to prevent armed conflicts, or those who mediate and settle arguments through counselling. Both of those are laudable Christian aims, but it can make us think of the efforts of others, rather than what we should be doing ourselves. And this passage is asking us to make peace among ourselves, that others may see God through us. So I'll close with the words of a peace campaigner whose violent and senseless death was 40 years ago this week. All we are saying is give peace a chance.